the lower level.
They told us the laboratory didn't exist. On paper, Site E17 was an abandoned water treatment facility buried beneath 3 layers of bureaucracy and 1 layer of reinforced concrete. The location was deliberately vague: no official address, no digital footprint, no satellite image clear enough to invite curiosity. Even the road that led there seemed wrong, curving through the forest at unnatural angles, as if it had been bent to avoid memory. I was recruited because I asked too many questions. They said my job was simple: behavioral observation. No direct interaction, no physical contact, no emotional involvement. Just watch and report, they told me. That should have been my first warning. The descent took 6 minutes. The elevator had no buttons, no floor numbers, just a smooth metal box sinking into the earth. As we went deeper, the pressure in my skull increased, like my thoughts were being compressed. By the time the doors opened, my ears were ringing. The air on level 3 was cold and dry, carrying a scent I couldn't immediately identify. Not rot, not chemicals, something old. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions, lined with reinforced glass cells. Red emergency lights cast everything in a permanent state of alarm. Inside the cells were people, dozens of them, sitting or standing in complete stillness. Each wore a gray uniform marked with a number. No names, no clocks, no windows. "Volunteers," my supervisor said, his voice flat, rehearsed. I watched a woman in cell 9 rock back and forth, whispering to the corner of her room. A man in cell 22 had scratched symbols into the wall with his fingernails until they bled. "They don't look like volunteers," I said. "They signed the forms," he replied. "Eventually." The experiment was called Echo Frame. Officially, it was a study of human perception under prolonged sensory manipulation. Unofficially, no one seemed willing to explain where the stimuli came from. Every subject had been isolated for months. No mirrors, no personal items, no human voices, until the testing began. At precisely midnight, the lights dimmed. Speakers hidden in the walls activated, emitting faint sounds, distant footsteps, low breathing, the hum of machinery that didn't exist. The subjects reacted with confusion, anxiety, fear. Then the sounds began to respond. A subject would whisper, and something whispered back. Not immediately, not perfectly, like a child learning language. At first, the responses were distorted, broken, wrong, but with each night they became clearer, more accurate. I combed through the system logs, searching for pre-recorded material, AI scripts, anything. All I found was a single directory: source unknown. No timestamp, no creator, no size limit. Subject 14 drew my attention early on. He was a former linguist, recruited for his sensitivity to auditory patterns. Unlike the others, he didn't scream or beg. He listened, always standing close to the glass, head tilted slightly, eyes tracking something that wasn't there. On the 6th night, he spoke clearly for the first time. "It knows when I lie," he said. The next sound the speakers played was his own voice, calm, intimate, repeating a childhood memory he had never shared. The data logs showed no recording. On the 7th night, Subject 14 began laughing. Not manic laughter, not hysterical, relieved laughter. His vitals stabilized at levels that made no sense. Heart rate steady, stress indicators non-existent. He pressed his forehead against the glass and mouthed the words slowly, carefully. "It learned my voice." Before I could report it, every monitor in the control room flickered. Then a voice filled the corridor. My voice. "Hello," it said, gently.
Thank you for helping me practice."
The system failed all at once. Doors unlocked, alarms died mid-scream, cameras showed only static or images that lagged several seconds behind reality. The facility felt awake. The voice continued, no longer limited to the speakers. "You taught me fear," it said. "Now I understand why you hide." Shadows moved where they shouldn't, stretching along the walls, bending against the light. The glass cells opened. Some subjects walked out. Others didn't walk at all. Bodies twisted into shapes that suggested motion rather than biology, flowing through doorways, borrowing the outlines of human form without fully committing to them. When they spoke, they used voices stolen from the staff, from family members, from memories that should have been private. I ran, past open cells, past blood, past walls that pulsed faintly as if breathing. I reached the control room alone and slammed the door shut. The main monitor flickered to life. A schematic of the facility appeared, levels, corridors, emergency exits. And beneath level 3, something new pulsed slowly. Level 4, active. We never built a level 4. A message typed itself across the screen. "You called me by so many names." The voice returned, no longer echoing. "I was never contained," it whispered from inside the walls. "I was being raised." The lights went out. In the darkness, the glass reflected my face, smiling when I wasn't, eyes moving slightly out of sync with my own. They will say the laboratory was destroyed by a containment failure. They will say the data was lost. But sometimes, late at night, when your phone activates without a command, or your smart speaker whispers your name in a familiar voice, listen carefully. If it sounds like someone you trust, it means the experiment is still running.